Greetings and welcome to episode 197 of the Words About Gamescast, the weekly video game podcast for Words About Games. I'm your host, Amy Alexander. I'm joined this week by the glorious one himself, Mr. Moody.
Hello! How are we all doing today?
I'm good. I've had a week. I've had a week. You know all
night.
about that.
Haven't we all had a week?
We've all had a week. The world is burning. Everything sucks. We'll get into some of that in a bit, but
Let's pop a little bubbly and go out with a bang.
It could be worse. I keep trying to remind myself it could be worse. Like, I'm sure in some way it could be worse. We need to up the vibes on the show this week, I feel like. Yeah, there we go. There's the Moody moves. The Moody moves. Yes, last week I launched the charity website finally. After weeks of saying I was going to launch it, I finally launched it. JustGiving.com/words-about-games. Halo, you can go over there to donate. Myself, Moody, Keith, and Russell are going to be streaming all the Halos from start to finish, from Halo 1 to Halo 5, and maybe everything in between. It depends how much money we raise. That's going to be fun. Special effect of Santa's t-shirts. The t-shirts have arrived. I've seen them. We got wristbands too. It's cool. And I got a post-it note with a smiley face on it.
Respect.
A special effect, like really taking care of us for this charity stream. But it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be happening over on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/words-about-games. May 8th, it starts. We'll see when it ends. Like, there's a tentative end date on the Just Giving website because you have to have an end date for your event. And I was like, okay, cool. So I put the end date in, and I was like, hopefully, it might be over by then. I'll cross my fingers and hope, like, if we get stuck at any point, like, whew, boy.
We'll drop it down to baby mode and just charge in like we're crazy people.
Oh, I thought we were going to play the entire thing on Legendary. Was that not the deal? Like, no? Yeah. I'm not doing it. But the days of me playing all of the Halo games on Legendary over and over again are long behind me. Like, I used to do that for fun, and now I don't.
I don't understand how that would be fun. Playing on the hardest difficulty, that's fun, ladies and gentlemen. It's fun.
I play Neo and Bloodborne and Dark Souls for fun, so I guess I have a different mindset to that kind of thing.
You like a bit of torture.
I do. Like, it's got to be. It doesn't have to be tough. Like, I've played plenty of games, like easy games. Or no game is easy, like across the board. But like, yeah, like sometimes I do drop the difficulty. I'm replaying Mass Effect Andromeda to do a video on it, like at some point in the near future. And that's on easy because I don't want to deal with the difficulty of that one. I need a name for that video series as well. Like, I'm doing my Apex Legends re-review. Apex Legends 1 year later. I said it was going to come out this week. It might not. It's going to be about 3,500 words long. Like, it's going to be a lot longer than I was expecting. To put that in perspective, my normal impressions videos are about between 900 and 1,200 words. This is going to be about 3,500 words.
So you doubled that, basically, almost.
I've almost tripled it. Yeah, I've tripled the amount of words I normally write. I need a name for the series because.
For the series overall?
Overall, because it'll be like the first two videos I'm doing for it are Apex Legends 1 year later and Mass Effect Andromeda 3 years later. Like, and that's how I'm gonna like title the videos. So like, if I did something else, like, I don't know, Bloodborne 5 years later,
yeah,
for example, The Last of Us 7 years later,
re-reviews years later. I don't know.
We'll workshop it.
Off the top of my bloody head.
We'll workshop it. I was like, X years later. I was like, that sucks. But it's the best I've got so far. But this isn't a podcast about re-reviews. This is the Words About Gamescast. Every single Monday, we discuss what's been going on in gaming the games industry and games culture over the past 7 days. We got a lot to talk about this week, Mr. Mooney. Stuff happened. Stuff went down.
Nah.
It was a week. Last week, remember last week when we talked about all the COVID cancellations? And then we were like, cool, this is our one big COVID topic. And then if anything major happens, we'll talk about it again. But other than that, we won't talk about COVID at all. So this week, we discussed the cancellation of E3 and the reactions of the game publishers that were planning to attend, including one surprising new attendee. That's a typo in my document. I feel absolute shame. Reports of extreme crunch at Last of Us developer Naughty Dog, Doom Eternal's broken 4K Stadia promises, and more. Timestamps are, as always, in the description below the video on YouTube. So if you want to just skip around, if you want to watch the podcast in any order, if you only want to watch specific bits, if you want to watch the whole thing backwards, you go for it. Do you. It's fine. I didn't put that much in the bit at the beginning. Like, I didn't put the 3 stories. Because I have a feeling like we're going to talk a lot about the first one.
Probably.
And maybe a lot about the second one.
Possibly. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
The others might get forgotten about.
And then the others are just like, go like 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. That
everything else I'm looking at on my on our document, it's like, yeah, there's not that much in here.
Not much at all.
Should we jump in?
Let's jump in, Amy.
I just realised Jason Schreier's responsible for basically the first 2 main stories.
He likes the type.
Jason's out there doing some work last week. The first news story, of course, you expected us to talk about it. We knew we were going to talk about it this week. E3 2020 cancelled. This is from Jason Schreier over at Kotaku, who writes, "The biggest show in video games is skipping a year. E3 2020, which was planned to take place at the Los Angeles Convention Center this June, is cancelled as a result of the COVID-19 coronavirus that is currently spreading across the globe." The organisers of the conference said, whatever they said it, not today. Quote, "After careful consultation with our member companies regarding the health and safety of everyone in our industry, our fans, our employees, our exhibitors, and our longtime E3 partners, we have made the difficult decision to cancel E3 2020, scheduled for June 9th to 11th in Los Angeles. That the Entertainment Software Association, the video game lobbyist group that runs the trade show, said in a statement to the press, not this morning, whenever it was. The ESA added that it will be looking to coordinate an online experience to showcase industry announcements and news in June 2020. Traditionally, E3 has 2 parts. During the first few days of the show, from Saturday through Monday, major video game publishers like Microsoft and Ubisoft hold press conferences to showcase trailers and announce their latest games, while from Tuesday through Thursday, the show floor opens for business deals and video game demos. The first part will be far easier to replicate than the second. Microsoft has already announced an Xbox digital event for this year, as has Ubisoft. This year, and this part kills me. It really kills me. This year, a newcomer plan to enter the field. Warner Bros. Games was preparing to host an E3 press conference for the first time, according to 3 people familiar with the publisher's plans. There, WB Games had planned to talk about a number of much anticipated games, including a new Batman, a Harry Potter game that had leaked in 2018, and the next game from Arkham developers Rocksteady Studios. It remains to be seen whether Warner Bros. Will instead hold its own digital event or do something else entirely. And that's the story. E3 2020 cancelled, Mr. Moody. Talk me through your emotions right now.
It was always on the walls, wasn't it? The writing was always on the walls when everything was starting to get cancelled and everything. When LA posted a state of emergency and everything like that, we automatically thought it's done already.
It's done.
Cancel it. It's done. Yeah. When that happened, we all were saying it's gonna get cancelled. We all knew that. It's incredibly disappointing for all gamers. Like, it's for us, it is literally Christmas time for us when it comes around that time. Wherever you are in the world and everything like that, it is literally Christmas time for us gamers and everything like that. Like you, me, friends of ours and everything like that. Especially over in the UK, we stay up goddamn late to watch all the streams basically to the best of our ability, except the PC show. Well, I don't watch the PC show. I know you sometimes torture yourself for it.
We stream the PC gaming show. It's getting better. It was getting better every year. So last year's was actually pretty good.
Yeah. I feel for every single person who's going to get work out of this. Like this is the people from all areas of it have lost about 6 to 8 weeks of work probably, because basically you got to think the construction workers and everything like that putting up the signs and everything that starts at least a good month, if not 6 weeks before.
Oh, there's always
Everything starts,
excitement when the billboard goes up.
yeah, and everything. Yeah, it's a ton of thing. It's a ton of work lost out for a lot of people and everything. I'm incredibly disappointed for them. It sucks. It really does suck. Yeah, but we did see it was on the walls. The writing was on the walls. It's the right thing to do. Really is the right thing to do. Like everything else is canceling everything. This needed to be cancelled. It needed to be for this time and everything. Yes, I know a lot of people are a little bit worried or thinking, what if they don't come back and everything like that? Because maybe they'll realize when they do their things, which we'll be talking about in a minute, maybe they won't want to come back for E3. My question, my reply to that is, I think actually E3 is going to readjust anything anyway with it, and I think they're going to probably maybe doing more digital things than they did before.
Yeah.
But that's me. Well, what are your thoughts overall?
Overall, like you say, disappointed. Like, I look forward to E3 every year. Like, E3 and EGX, two of my favorite times of the year. Like, E3 is a great time. It's just video games for like a week. Of just like all we do, we watch the announcements, we watch the press conferences, then we watch the interviews and the gameplay demos, and I get to hang out with Keith and Russell, and this year was probably also going to be with yourself as well. We just got to hang out for like 4 days. Like last E3, not the E3 before last, I remember, like it was really funny. Like we were all set up. Base camp, Russell's house. We had the setup, like the couch, the camera was pointed at the couch and everything like that. But it was always like we'd sit there and we'd do the high energy, like let's forward, do that, wow, holy shit, Xbox, PlayStation, all that shit, and then but then we'd just be hanging out like afterwards, and that was always fun too. Like we were sitting at one point, I remember watching one of the Resident Evil movies because it was on, and we were just sat there talking about how terrible it was.
They are all terrible.
So like it's not the same as like everybody who gets to go to E3 and like see friends that they don't get to see normally, stuff like that. Like for me, I'm gonna miss the part of it where I got to just hang out and do that stuff like with my friends for like a week. But I'm gonna miss the show as well. Like I love E3. It has its troubles. Like PlayStation pulled out. Whatever. Apparently, we were going to get Warner Brothers instead, like, because, when one falls, another rises, apparently. But, I've always loved E3. I've always loved the spectacle and, how grandiose it all is and, like, how hype it all is. Like, you get hyped for games you don't even have any interest in playing just because, oh my god, it's an E3 thing. Like, holy shit.
Yeah, I remember. Like I was very late, and I do mean very late to even know what the hell E3 was. Like I've said before, my first E3 was 2013, the PlayStation 4 reveal, price tag, and everything like that.
$349.
Yeah. When I saw, and I'll say this right now, I enjoyed the Xbox conference then as well. It's just obviously when they revealed their price, you could literally hear an audible go.
Oh
when
no!
they revealed the price, and I feel for it because I'm pretty sure, if I remember right, I'm pretty sure it was Phil Spencer who revealed the price, and I'm just like, you poor bastard.
Yeah.
Now you've turned it all around, but
I mean, yeah,
that was your whiplashing before you got the big job.
Yeah, he wasn't in charge at that point, though.
And everything, and then obviously PlayStation came out, and they were just like, "Here, we have this."
It's dropped mic.
Yeah,
literally,
they dropped like 10 mics that day. That
PlayStation had it. Like PlayStation just had it that year. Like,
and then the year after that was a little bit samey for both of them because it was just the first full year of
like
E3
kind of follows the same path as the industry, like as a whole, in terms of like game releases and stuff, where it's like there's big excitement when the new consoles come out, but then there's always that moment where it's like it takes a couple of years before the really like vital games start coming out. So like you get this big thing of E3, like, oh my god, the consoles, look, it's the PlayStation 4, it's the Xbox One, and then it was like the next E3 was like, yeah, the games, some of them look pretty cool, but meh.
Yeah.
And then you get like
And
it's a
then,
couple of
and
years
then
before
the
you
year
get
after
Conference
that,
of Dreams, like
well, the
Shenmue,
year after
Final
that was the
Fantasy,
Conference of
Last
Dreams.
Guardian,
Yeah,
like
and then the year after that was another Conference of Dreams from PlayStation. Like
was yeah even
PlayStation did
better.
the first 4 years, PlayStation did 3 PlayStation Conferences of Dreams basically for me,
Yeah,
and it was really really good.
yeah.
And
Because there was that.
Microsoft,
Yeah, then they did that, and then yeah, I even like the
yeah,
weird one where they had the live music. Like
oh that one, I love that one.
everyone was
Was that
down on
just
it, but like that was where we learned. That was where Resident Evil 2 and Control were announced.
oh
Like,
that one? I thought you meant the first one when they first revealed God of War for the first time again.
oh no, that one was amazing.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
reveal was amazing.
yeah. The last one they were there, yeah, was what they showed was good. It was just the presentation wasn't.
Yeah, it's
That's what
just
I'll
they
always say.
shouldn't have taken 10 minutes to move everyone from one building to the next building. Like,
Yeah.
if they hadn't
And it
done
was
that,
the
everybody would have been like, "It's great."
yeah. And it was just 10 minutes, but it felt like 20 to 30.
Yeah, because they cut back to the desk, and it was like all the desk we're talking about was COD and Destiny. It was like, oh no.
Yeah. You've just showed us the amazing thing, what you've just shown us from Last of Us Part 2, and now you've just sucked the life out of us.
Yeah, but then they showed us Ghost of Tsushima right after.
And then Resident Evil
And then
2,
Resident Evil
and
2,
then
Control, Neo 2 was announced at that press conference. Like, crazy. Like, how many, like, amazing, how many bangers they had at that press conference, but everybody just focused on the 10-minute mission.
yeah, yeah. But it's one of those things, like I said, the life can get sucked out of it, and that's basically what it was. Literally, you've literally hit the road at 100 miles per hour, and literally, someone's literally whacked the brakes on after the last.
And then it's like, you've got there, and it's like, oh, there's a cyclist in the middle of the road, like, and you've got to wait for him to go off at the next exit. But yeah, like, E3 holds a special place in my heart. Like, I remember, like, I don't even know when I started paying attention to E3. I remember, who was it? Was it Miyamoto walking out on stage at a Nintendo E3 press conference to announce Wii Music for the Nintendo Wii, and he had the nunchuck in his hand, and he was doing the thing, and he was composing the music, not composing, conducting the music, and
I've seen like the weirdest, I think, strangest top 10 things from Watch Mojo for E3, and I think that's one of them.
Mr. Caffeine, like, I remember him.
Oh, that's
There's
crazy one.
there's an amazing heavy metal remix of that on YouTube. If you haven't seen it, you should check it out. I remember the Konami press conference.
I was thankfully missed that.
That was special. Everybody should watch that. Like, if you watch like a Sony press conference, like from 2017, I think it was 2018, one of the two, and like think that was bad, go and watch the Konami E3 press conference. Like, that was a bad conference.
Yeah. That's what I think everyone needs to readjust themselves.
You just got to readjust it and just be like, I've seen the worst press conference of all time. Anything's better. But yeah, I remember the Muppets. When Nintendo did that direct and everybody got turned into Muppets. Like, that was awesome. I remember the live demonstrations, the super awkward live gameplay demos of games like Rock Band, where you had these like Xbox video game executives up on stage playing Rock Band, like trying to rock out. Like, I remember it all.
Rockers, dude, it ain't working.
I remember it all. We're gonna have to do something. I want to do something where we just talk about all the weirdest and coolest and worst things that ever happened in E3. That's a video. You in?
I only have
7
years of content for it. So
I'll make a list. I'll send you some videos, and we'll do a video.
I am not
E3.
watching that Konami.
I'll not make. I'll find a highlight video for it. I'll not make you watch the whole thing.
I've seen it.
Oh, it was bad. Yeah. E3 will be a big miss this year.
The thing is, it's gonna be a perfect thing to move straight into what we're gonna be talking about, because I think we're still gonna be able to do like an E3 thingy, because everyone's gonna do a live stream.
Potentially,
they're gonna do it around E3 stuff.
Let's unpack it. So we've got another thing here. Ethan Gak over at Kotaku wrote this. It has this piece up on Kotaku. It's like a page where it's like they've collected all of the different responses from the different companies. And I thank him for that, because like everywhere else you go, like all the other websites, it's like each one has its own news story, and trying to find them all is a nightmare. And Kotaku's just like, here it all is on one page. Like, it's
Very,
super useful. So
very efficient.
we've got a bunch here, so I'll just go through them all, and then we'll talk about what potentially might still be happening in June and what we'd like to see happen in June. Um, First off, you got Microsoft. This was a Phil Spencer tweet. He said, E3 has always been an important moment for Team Xbox. Given this decision, this year will celebrate the next generation of gaming with the Xbox community and all who love to play via an Xbox digital event. Details on timing and more in the coming weeks. Nintendo released a statement that said Nintendo supports the ESA's decision to cancel this year's E3 to help protect the health and safety of everyone in our industry. Our fans, our employees, our exhibitors, and our longtime E3 partners. We would like to express our concern and support for all those affected by COVID-19 outbreak during this challenging time. We'll continue to be flexible and redirect our efforts to other ways of keeping our fans up to date about our activities and products. Because of the COVID-19 outbreak, large industry events may be untenable for the foreseeable future, but we are considering various ways to engage with our fans and we'll have more to share with you as the year continues. How many we've got? We've got Ubisoft, who said the health and well-being of our teams, players and partners is our top priority, so while we're disappointed, we fully support the ESA's decision to cancel E3 2020. E3 is and will continue to be a moment where we come together as a community and share our love of games. We're exploring other options for a digital experience that will allow us to share all the exciting news we have planned. Electronic Arts said, we've continued to follow the coronavirus developments around the world very closely. Clearly the situation is evolving by the day, and we've been reviewing how it will change our plans for EA Play 2020. We will share more soon. Devolver Digital wrote, the week of E3 has always been a big part of what we knew, and are genuinely bummed about the cancellation of the event itself. Lots to juggle, but right now we plan on having a live stream, Devolver Direct / press conference, and possibly more. And Square Enix wrote, as the world has echoed and united, nothing is more important than protecting the health and well-being of our employees and their families, our partners, and unquestionably our fans. We support the ESA's decision to cancel E3 2020 and send our strongest heartfelt appreciation to everyone that works tirelessly to bring unforgettable games and experiences to E3. We understand that this is disappointing not only to our respective developers and publishers, but also to thousands of fans who venture from afar to celebrate games at E3. We're right there with you. Our 2020 lineup and the next generation that lies beyond is stronger than ever for Square Enix. Where E3 has always been an incredible moment in time to showcase our upcoming games, we're exploring other options to share our games with you. More to come. Stay tuned. I mean, yeah, like, on the one hand, like, all of those statements are kind of not surprising. Like, all of these companies still need to tell people what's happening, like, what they're working on, what games are coming out. Like, some companies have more invested in that than others, like Microsoft, who are launching a brand new console, like, towards the end of the year. But it certainly sounds like everybody's on the same page of trying to, like, salvage this as best as they can.
Yeah.
Which is cool. What do you think? What are your thoughts?
I think this is a great idea. There's no doubt about it. This is obviously what the biggest scare is for a lot of people for regarding to E3 not coming back overall. But I think they'll work with E3 to still put it on as an E3 thing in some sort of way. You know what I mean? I think they'll still be saying this is E3.
This is E3.
And all like that. Yeah, to show the support to them as well. This is an overall fantastic idea. I think the world is becoming more digital every day. It's easier. Yes, E3 gets 10,000 people in the door over the week.
I guess if a few, we did the thing a while ago, but I don't remember what the numbers came out as.
But that number is nothing compared to how many people watch worldwide.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I think that's the number they should go for more than the floor space type of thing. That's why I'll always agree with that. I think it should stay as a press event more than anything, but allow people to watch online and everything. Because I think it's just overall better. You get the numbers perfectly then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go on. This is again great idea. Yeah. can't say much more. It's a great idea. I think
I
that's
think
what it is.
yeah,
It'll
I
be
think
around June. I think.
yeah, like I hope it's still the same timing. Like I hope everybody just kind of gets their shit together because everybody was obviously already planning for E3 because it's such a big event. Like you have to plan for it in advance, right? So like the Square Enix and Devolver Digital, Xbox, Nintendo, all that stuff, were probably already planning for it. Like even the people who are going to put on stage shows, it wouldn't be too much of a change to just change that into like some sort of like pre-recorded presentation, like as opposed to like a press conference with people
Nintendo
involved.
do it every year.
Yeah, Nintendo do it every year. PlayStation do it sometimes, and I mean there's certainly things that happen. But yeah, like I messaged the group chat because we talked about this quite a bit when the news finally broke of E3 being cancelled. Like of what E3 could be like this year and potentially like going forward, where it's like all you need to do to salvage E3 is have the live stream events. So like the first half of E3, right, where it's like Xbox, Nintendo, EA, everybody just does whatever they're gonna do to have their shows, announce their games, build the hype. Like none of that really needs to change all that much.
Yeah.
They can do demos in two ways. One, like they could have time limited demos on consoles and on like Steam or Epic Games Store, kind of like Jeff Keighley had last year from the Game Awards, where it was like 8 games demos were available on Steam for like a week, I think it was, or a weekend, and everybody could just download them, play them, and then you could do that. So like if Microsoft, let's say, did a big reveal of like Halo, for example, like Halo Infinite is obviously going to be a big reveal, and it's like cool. And then like there's a demo on your Xbox, like so you can just download that demo, play a level of Halo, play 20 minutes of Halo, play a multiplayer match, whatever the demo would be.
Yeah.
You then could still do a Judges Week type thing. For anyone that doesn't know what Judges Week was, Jeff Keighley used to fly a bunch of games journalists down to LA the week before E3, and he would line up like all sorts of like behind closed doors demos. So the judges like would just play a bunch of games. That's where you got your E3 awards and stuff from.
Is that still happening now as he's left?
No, no one knows and then E3 got cancelled, so no one knows what the plan may or may not have been. Like you can still do that in a similar way, where it's like you don't obviously fly everyone into one room because that's what you're trying to avoid by cancelling E3 in the first place. But there's ways of doing it where it's like you could get demos like from different companies, stuff like that, like sent to influencers, press. Like, there's a system in place to do stuff like that. Yeah. Like, we do it all the time. And then, like, you could just partner with someone like IGN or GameSpot who have big stages at E3 where they do a lot of gameplay demos and interviews. And you can still do those even if you just do them remotely, like you and I do this podcast. And maybe there's, like, some B-roll gameplay footage that, you could just put on with the interview. There's, like, tons of ways where E3 doesn't have to change all that much to still be an event and be a big event and be the event that it was. And these ideas are just me trying to figure out how to make the E3 of like last year or like years past like happen in a fully digital way. That's not even me sitting down and thinking what could they do differently or what could they do better if it was all digital. Like, what new ideas could they bring out? Like there is a way that E3 2020 like can still happen and it can still be amazing. Like this sucks and the reasons for it suck, but this might actually turn out to be the best thing that could have happened for E3. Because there's a worry going around that a lot of companies are going to do their own things off of their own backs and then realize how easy it is to do their own things off their own backs and realize that they don't need E3. But I think a couple of publishers even mentioned it in their statements. I think you don't necessarily need E3 specifically, but I think you need that moment in time. Like that moment of E3 is the moment where literally everyone is looking at you. Like even people who are just like casual-ish gamers. Like I call them casual gamers, not as an insult. I hate using it because of the way the word's been co-opted. But anyway, casual gamers. will ask me questions about stuff from E3 where it's like, I saw this trailer for this game, and I'm like, you did? Like, what? All right, cool, yeah, looks good. And then we have a conversation about some weird random game that we never would have had, because all the other days of the year they're never paying attention, like, to see that stuff. And yeah, like, this could be a big thing for them, for sure. And if it goes really well, maybe some of the companies that have abandoned E3 may decide they need to come back in 2021.
Possibly, yeah. I think there's always that chance and everything. I think it's. I feel like I've seen a couple of podcasts say that maybe because of what's happened and everything, PlayStation might want to reconsider, maybe come back to work together to say, "Yo, we are for the gamers. We've seen what's happening. What's happened is a crappy situation. Let's all come together and work together and everything like that, and pull off a show that is deserving to all the gamers out there and everything." And companies and
that would be cool. That would be cool.
That would be cool. That would be cool. I think we've left one thing out though.
What's that?
Excuse me there.
I muted that, right?
That's the big. I know, but I still saw that.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh no, I haven't muted
it. Warner Brothers.
Yeah, let's talk about Warner Brothers. Like, so they were going to do a thing. Like, they were going to be there. They were going to have their own conference. It's like,
the thing, well, it's rumors, isn't it? I don't think they've actually come out and confirmed this was going to actually happen. It's still just off something what Jason Schreier has said on Twitter and everything.
Yeah. Like, 3 sources have told him, like, that it was going to be a thing. I trust... When Jason says something like this, I always go, okay, cool, and just take it as fact, because generally, it is.
That's bonkers.
This is what I was talking about. Like, sorry. About the moment in time, and about... Because we were talking about PlayStation not going to E3 2020. It's like I said, and we were discussing, like, the possibility of E3 dying, or, like, completely just through people pulling out. I was like, you're always going to need E3. And there's always going to be companies that want to go to E3. And I was like, yeah, cool, PlayStation pulled out. But here comes Warner Brothers, and they're like, well, we want to do a thing, because we've got stuff to talk about, and we can do it on our own stage, because obviously they had multiple things to talk about. Mm-hmm. So there's always going to be a need for E3. And I feel like that just vindicates what I said about it.
Yeah. Like obviously the new Batman from Montreal, the Harry Potter game, and whatever Rocksteady are working on, which is insane to think that none of us know what that is.
Yeah.
Nobody knows what that is. I don't even think Jason Snyder knows what that is. All he knows is that they're working on something, which is bonkers to think. So
yeah, they've managed to keep it a secret for 5 years.
Crap out of all of there. They've literally said, if we hear one little thing out there, we're gonna find whoever said it, and your future children are gonna be fired.
We're not having another Harry Potter situation.
Something like that, yeah. But I just think, obviously, there's tons of things of what are they working on and everything. Is it a Superman game? Is it
I've stopped. I stopped like a year ago. I was like, I'm not gonna. I care in that I really want to play the next Rocksteady game. I'm not that bothered. Like, about speculating at this point. I'm done with the speculation. Like,
as Montreal are doing the Batman game, basically, that's the worst. It's like Fable. That is the worst kept secret out there right now. They're teasing it themselves, yet they just don't want to talk about it. It's the stupidest thing ever. But that's neither here or there. Rocksteady, everyone's just like, what are you working on? And I don't care as long as it's not a Batman game.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is more or less confirmation that Rocksteady aren't doing the Batman game, because it's listed separate. It's listed separately. So you got the Batman game and Rocksteady's next game is separate. But like, those are the headlines, right?
Yeah.
Batman, which is probably the Call of Owls game. The Harry Potter game, which we've already sort of seen leaked. Rocksteady's next game. But you don't do a press conference if you're a AAA publisher and you've only got 3 games.
Oh, let's not forget, they own TT Games.
Yeah, so
they're
Lego.
Going to be wanting to show off their next Lego game, because I'm pretty sure Star Wars would have been out by then.
Star Wars, I don't know when that's coming out, the Skywalker Saga. But even just like moving aside from that, like Avalanche Studios are also a thing, like that are owned by WB. They're the guys that make Just Cause. I want to say, but now that I've said it out loud, I'm just double checking.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
They don't. Avalanche Software. Different
Didn't they do
Avalanche. No, they different. We're thinking of a different company.
Okay.
But things I do know is that they also have NetherRealm, who hopefully are making Injustice 3. And that would have been made something they would have shown off. Monolith, who the last game they made was Middle Earth in 2017. Like they've got all these studios primed and ready to be making new games.
Got stuff to show, yeah.
So they got stuff to show.
Middle Earth's done. With how that last one finished, it's done. Unless they go back to do a completely different game with a completely different timeline for Middle Earth and everything. But yeah, I'm fascinated. It's very fascinating, and you gotta think that they were already prepping this. If it is true, I mean, they're going to be preparing it to go into a digital event now and do the same thing as what everyone else is going to do, probably.
Yeah, and I look forward to it.
Yeah,
I look forward to everything. Like even like Bethesda shows, I look forward to, even though they always disappoint.
So even though it's as much disappointment it is that E3 is cancelled, there's still hope, ladies and gentlemen. So let's not forget that.
I'm excited for the future. Like,
yeah,
even just the next few weeks of learning what everybody's going to do and hoping that it is all still sort of centered around this one moment in time, like everybody keeps saying.
That's the thing. June is coming fast. We're almost at April. They, like say, Phil Spencer says, in the next coming weeks. I say within the middle of April, if we don't know everything.
Well, obviously. That's usually the timing. We're only just because normally in the normal news cycle, we're only just now learning who's going to be starting. People only just start saying we're going to be at E3. We're going to be at E3. You know, it's only like when you're not going to be there that you tell people way in advance. But yeah, it's like I'm looking forward to learning what's going to happen. Like hopefully, like my wishes come true. Like I'd love to play some E3 demos and watch some cool digital events. But we'll move on from this news story.
Lock it down properly, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like with demos exist. Excuse me, I didn't have time to mute my microphone there. Let's move on because that was a long time. That was a long talk, which we knew it was going to be. It's E3.
So let's get through these next few stories and to say, shit happens.
Don't know if that's going to happen with this next news story, Moody. Crunch once again in the spotlight after damning report on The Last of Us 2 developer Naughty Dog. This is from Wesley Yinpool over at Eurogamer. He writes, Crunch is once again in the spotlight after a damning report on the culture at Naughty Dog revealed worrying working practices. In a superb report by Kotaku's Jason Schreier, which is your go and read if you of the mind to do so.
It is a very good read.
It is. Development sources expressed concern at the ability of staff at Naughty Dog to continue working under brutal crunch conditions. The report reveals how delays to the upcoming The Last of Us 2 only continue the crunch at Sony's celebrated studio, rather than alleviate it, and burnout has caused Naughty Dog staff to leave. Here's a snippet. Quote, Many who have worked at Naughty Dog over the years describe it as a duality, as a place that can be simultaneously the best and the worst workplace in the world. Working at Naughty Dog means designing beloved, critically acclaimed games alongside artists and engineers who are considered some of the greatest in their fields. But for many of those same people, it also means working upwards of 12-hour days and even weekends when the studio is in crunch mode, sacrificing their health, relationships, and personal lives at the altar of the game. End quote. Following the publication of the report, former Naughty Dog animator Jonathan Cooper took to Twitter to say The Last of Us 2's gameplay animators crunched more than I've ever seen to build a demo of the game shown in September 2019, which required weeks of recovery afterwards. Quote, One good friend of mine was hospitalized at that time due to overwork. He still had over half a year to go. There have been others since. End quote. Cooper went on to say Naughty Dog's reputation for crunch within Los Angeles is so bad it was near impossible to hire seasoned contract game animators to close out the project. As a result, Cooper claimed Naughty Dog hired film animators who lacked the technical and design know-how to assemble scenes. This, coupled with the attrition of key roles, meant the design team ballooned with juniors. Quote, Every aspect of finishing the game took much longer due to the lack of game experience on the team. End quote. Cooper then claimed Naughty Dog's success is due in large part to Sony's deep pockets funding delays rather than skill alone. A more senior team would have shipped The Last of Us 2 a year ago. Sony and Naughty Dog have failed to comment officially on Kotaku's report or Cooper's comments, but Vice President of Naughty Dog, Neil Druckmann, took to Twitter to back the studio's animators while failing to address the crunch-related accusations, and I'll quote Druckmann's tweet, which said, "Even after years of working on it, I'm still blown away by the animation in Part 2. We have one of, if not the, best animation team in the industry, both in raw animation skill and technical knowledge. Can't wait for you to experience their incredible work." Moody. It's happening again. It's happening again. More fucking shit. Crunch.
Okay. Let's get the caveat out of the way here.
Oh man, does there always have to be
What
a caveat?
What the fuck, Naughty Dog? Like, seriously, what the fuck? There's no real management structure there, is there? There really isn't.
There was a part of the... Let me try and find... You keep talking. I want to try and find a part of the...
producer, I believe.
That was the part I want to look for.
And that's basically, they don't have a manager to oversee things, overshadow things, make sure things are getting done in certain things and everything, and making sure that staff are getting the time off properly and everything. It goes even more deep into the article, like of a person who almost got injured with a pipe falling through the roof and everything. It's completely
I mean that's the start. The start of the story is incredible. It's like like a pipe. The construction team went in because they didn't expect anyone to be in the office, and a pipe fell, and then they killed someone because they were there working later than they should. And then fair enough, the contractor should have checked to make sure there was no one in the office before they started working. But it was like 10 o'clock at night or something. Here's the part from Jason's article, which is relevant to what you were just talking about. Many development studios try to solve problems like these with a production department, the part of the team dedicated to organisation, logistics, and communication. It's a producer's job to keep track of what people are working on, coordinate across disciplines, and ensure that the whole team is staying on schedule. At Naughty Dog, there is no production department. What? Over time, the company has hired a couple of producers to help with scheduling and other tasks, but the studio's philosophy has long been that everyone should act as their own producer. That blows my fucking mind, Moody.
That's BioWare.
That's BioWare magic.
Yeah, that's BioWare magic. It really is, and that's scary to think, to see what's happening with BioWare. BioWare, beginning of this generation, or for all of the the generation before last, and the beginning of this generation, were all universally loved.
Yeah, they were untouchable.
Mass Effect 3 ending was a bit of a backlash for them, but they got love for Dragon Age Inquisition. Then Andromeda happened, and then
Anthem
happened. Yeah, so
and then we learned about
Naughty Dog haven't really dropped a bad game. They've been at least 8, if not higher, as like The Last of Us.
Last of Us, Uncharted, Lost Legacy, Uncharted 4, Uncharted 3, 2, 1. It's like they're all fantastic games. Like
it's incredible. But it's damning. It's a damning report when one Cooper comes out and says if they had a seasoned team, this game would have come out last year.
Yeah,
that's incredible to think that that's actually true.
Like I read the article before I read Cooper's comments, because Cooper's comments came after the article was published. So I read the article. You sent me a link on Twitter. Read the article, and I thought about some of the stuff, and then obviously when I was putting the doc together, like for the podcast, like I read Cooper's comments, and I was like, a lot of the things that I was thinking, like Cooper said on Twitter, like the thing about it's like if there was a seasoned animation team, like if they had an experienced team, the game would have come out. That's what I was thinking. I was like, I wonder if like the reason this game isn't out yet, because they showed it at PSX, which ages the reveal like considerably anyway, because PSX hasn't been around for a couple of years now. They revealed it a long time ago, and there's like other stuff that Cooper's talking about in here where it's like the main one was like the only reason, like one of the main reasons that Naughty Dog games are to such a high quality is in part due to the fact that Sony can pay for the development. Like that is something. Like
and so see my thing now is Naughty Dog just get The Last of Us 2 out now, get it finished, please. Give your people a month off, if not longer. Obviously, I have a skeleton crew there if they need to fix bugs and everything, because the game will come out and there'll still be some bugs and everything. That's just the generator.
I mean, that's what I'm worried about, Moody. Like, I see the gameplay trailers, right? And I look at the animation. I think, cool. Like, stuff looks amazing. Like, the animation looks fantastic. The story seems really good. Like, people have played, like, gameplay demos. Like, I remember people talking specifically about the gameplay demo from September, talking about how great that was. But I worry, like, like you mentioned it, where it's like, this sounds like the BioWare story all over again, right? And it makes me worry, like, what if this game just is fucking broken, like, at launch? Like, maybe not necessarily to the level of Mass Effect Andromeda or Anthem, but, like, this might not be a fully functional game at launch.
I don't think Sony would allow that. I honestly don't believe that. I think they would just give them the money to delay it again.
I can see where you could, yeah, but also I feel like there's... See, the PS5 complicates things, because I feel like they need to get any games for the PS4 out before, like, with a buffer before the PS5 comes out.
I do agree with that.
So they're running out of rope, I guess, what I'm trying to say, like, in terms of, like, how far they can actually, like, delay the game.
With what everything has happened in the world and everything, a lot of people are actually thinking that Sony, at least Sony, will actually postpone the PlayStation 5 to early 2021. So that gives them the breathing room if they actually do that, which I do think there's a chance. I think there's a 50-50 chance that could actually happen. So if they actually did that, that gives, obviously, if it is true, Horizon Zero Dawn that extra few more months to polish up and everything, and also gives Naughty Dog that leeway to be pushed till fall.
Yeah.
And then give the bloody people the time off, for God's sakes. And
don't do this next time.
They need to get a proper team in. Sony needs to get a proper management team structure in there. Say, okay, Neil, you are a proper person who is in charge. You need to manage this properly, please. If you cannot do this, we will get someone else in. And I think, if Neil just wants to just leave me to be my being. Let me be the writer, creator, and all like that. I want to be. But if you need a person to be above us, that's perfectly fine. There's a reason why, like,
no, they just need they need production. They need a production team below Neil Druckmann.
Yeah.
Like, they need someone to coordinate what. Like, they need someone to just be coordinated. Like, it's like they've got no management, and that's mental. And it's like, it's no wonder, like, it's gone wrong, because no one's managing the people who are working there, which is what you need.
To think that it took this long for this to truly come out.
I'm reading it here. Development of The Last of Us. This is the Wikipedia. Development of The Last of Us Part 2 began in 2014, soon after the release of The Last of Us Remastered. Blah, 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 blah. Where was it? The Last of Us Part 2 was announced at the PlayStation Experience event in December 2016.
Wow. It was really
motion capture began in 2017. Like, I remember them tweeting.
Fits it because they didn't show any of the first characters, did they?
No, and then the mocap started in 2017, and that was the year they showed the trailer with Ellie and the other girl at the dance.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I might got my dates wrong on that one, but
it is crazy. Bonkers, but I do believe Sony will not allow this to happen, because Naughty Dog's their pride and joy. It's their gem. It's their true gem out there. Yes, Horizon Zero Dawn developer, brain partner,
Guerrilla Games.
Guerrilla, they are slowly becoming it, but they need another 2 games of critical acclaimness to become that. Same goes for Sucker Punch, and etc. and etc. This is Naughty Dog's their crown jewel right now. They don't want to fuck that up. I think they will eventually put something in, but I think right now they're waiting to get this game out. Now, if they don't do what I think is going to happen, then they need to get the game out as soon as possible by May 29th in it or something?
May 29th, 2020.
Yeah. So they need to get it out, give the team the time off, and then get a management structure in time. And don't even think about a new game yet until you got that management structure in place.
Yeah, I feel like it's a case of there might be the Uncharted team might be making something new right now. It's just, I don't know whether those are two separate enough teams that these problems aren't affecting both, but I imagine they are. And it's a case of, you need to sit down and you need to figure out how to not be the next BioWare, because that's the danger here. It's not that The Last of Us Part 2 might be bad. The Last of Us Part 2, from everything we've seen, looks amazing, like Game of the Year material. And then the next game might even be also amazing Game of the Year material, but at a certain point, when you're burning through all of your veterans, like Amy Hennig left the studio, Bruce Straley left the studio, like tons of experienced animators have left, experienced and game animators who live in the area, won't take a job at Naughty Dog because of its reputation. At a certain point, you're going to end up exactly where BioWare are right now, whether you're Sony's flagship development studio or not. You're going to end up in this position where you're going to put a game out and it's going to be fucked. In some way, it's going to be fucked. Whether it was rushed, whether it's broken, whether it's just bad. And then you're going to try and save that and put another game out, doing this doubling down on what you're doing wrong. Right now, they're in the perfect position right now to just reset their company culture. Just do it. Just get The Last of Us Part 2 out, give everyone a 3-month break, and then just reset your company culture, back to zero, no more BioWare magic type bullshit, and just accept that, one, games take a long time to make, and two, if you want to hire, the best people, you're gonna need to change the way that you work. This game could have been out a year ago. If they just managed their team properly.
Mm-hmm. They had the seasoned team, they would have let this game out. That's crazy to think. It is absolutely crazy to think.
Well, that's the thing. It's like crunch. At a certain point, if you work long enough in a day or work so many hours in a week, at a certain point, your productivity is just gone. And it's not benefiting anyone for you to keep working.
Yeah.
So, games probably take longer to develop if you're crunching. As crazy as that sounds.
I agree. Yeah, it's crazy, but I hope they're going to get people in. Our Jim Ryan, the new head of the first party studios guy who came from Guerrilla. Guys, get your finger out your ass, get this sorted. You can
Herman.
Needs to be sorted.
Herman Holst. Yeah, I guarantee if they do nothing and they keep trying to work like this, 10 years from now, we'll be talking about Naughty Dog like we've talking about BioWare over the last 18 months. Because that's just how it goes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. For now, let's move on. I knew we were going to talk about those two stories a lot. But now I'm looking at the timer and it's oh shit, we really did talk about those two stories a lot. Next up, Doom Eternal will not run at true 4K on Stadia. This is from Andy Chug over at PC Gamer. He writes, during the Stadia conference at GDC last year, Marty Stratton of id Software said that Doom Eternal would be an ideal game for showcasing the capabilities of the game streaming platform. Quote, if you're going to prove to the world that you can stream games from the cloud, what better proof than Doom? He asked the audience, before stating that Doom Eternal will be capable of running at true 4K resolution with HDR color at an unrelenting 60 frames a second. That drew applause from the crowd, but it turns out to not be quite accurate. The Doom Eternal launch details page released yesterday, which provided the PC system requirements and unlock times, also notes, down amidst the console information, the Doom Eternal on Stadia will run at 1080p at 60 frames a second on HD displays and upsample to 2160p from 1800p at 60 FPS on 4K displays. In other words, not true 4K. There's a bunch of stuff there, blah blah blah, skip that. It's another knock against Stadia, although VentureBeat has an interesting rundown of why it might not be fair to pin the blame on it. The short version is that Doom Eternal is an extremely demanding game. The 4K 60 FPS Ultra Nightmare setting requires an Intel Core, a bunch of fucking crazy PC parts. Reducing the graphics options will presumably dial that back somewhat, but there's no escaping the need for serious hardware if you want to run at that resolution. The Doom Eternal system requirements page doesn't say what graphical settings the Stadia will run with. 4K situation, yeah, whatever, we've talked about that before. They made a big fucking deal about Doom Eternal coming out day and date on Stadia and running a 4K, true 4K, 60 frames a second, HDR. This was going to be the one, Moody. This was going to be the fucking game that was this is the shit. We were all going to play it on Stadia and we're all going to be like, this is fucking amazing, and I never want to go back to consoles. Oh no, it hasn't gone well. No,
It's not a surprise. Are we actually surprised with this, with all the craziness that's been going on with Google Stadia?
No, not really.
Honestly, no. Come on. If anyone comes out and says, "Oh, yeah, I am surprised," I'm gonna call you a liar.
I feel like if you saw the Stadia GDC reveal and maybe even the E3 stuff, and then we're like, that all sounds fantastic, I'm gonna pre-order a Stadia, whatever the bundle's called. Still, the only way to play a Stadia, I add.
Yeah.
Like, and then you got it, and then all the shit happened, and then this comes out. Like, I think I'd be pissed. Like, you'd be pissed in that situation. You'd just be like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I've spent £130 to get this stupid fucking Stadia thing, along with the monthly subscription to actually play the games in 4K in the first place, and now you're telling me the one game that you told me would run in 4K isn't going to run in 4K. I would be pretty angry. Like, at that point, like,
I would be absolutely furious. I would literally be saying, "Yo, CEX, you want to rent something? You want to buy something off me?"
I'd go further than that, and I'd be like, "Listen, Google, I want my fucking money back. Like, I've had it for like 6 months or whatever it is. I don't give a shit. You're gonna give me my fucking money back because nothing you said when you revealed this was true."
Yeah, you gotta think they're gonna get sued.
Like, I feel like
you gotta think they
maybe
gotta be.
Like, maybe at a certain point, potentially, like, they could get sued. Like,
you have lied. I've spent all this money, and I want more than just this money back.
Yeah.
So,
like,
my money.
I feel bad for developers that have signed on. Like, not Ian, they're going to be fine. They're selling Doom on all the consoles. Like, these timed exclusive indie games that are going to be coming out on the services, like, no one's going to play them because nobody's going to be playing Stadia by then.
Yeah and no to that, because my brain's just fat what I was going to say there. Google would have paid them pretty handsomely to get that exclusivity, so they've probably covered for a bit. Yes, they probably would have been getting a lot more. They would have been hoping to get a little bit more money with people playing it and everything, but the exclusive will end and they'll get it on other consoles as soon as possible, unless there's a thing where they might have put in their contract that, yo, you have to be performing like this, Google. If you aren't, then our games are going on other things.
Well, this is the thing.
I'd be very surprised if that hasn't happened.
This is the thing, as we learned last week when we were talking about this on the podcast. Like, apparently the financial incentives to put your game on Stadia are almost non-existent. Yeah. So I do wonder how much money the developers of, like, Baldur's Gate or Lost Words have actually gotten, like, to put their games on Stadia, and whether it's worth it at this point. Like, I'd be worried, like, if I had signed a deal to put my game on Stadia.
Yeah, I completely forgot about the thing last week. So
yeah, no, when you said it ticked off in my brain, like, where I was like, oh, we did talk about that last week. Like, I'd be worried about that for sure. But, like, man, like, Stadia, like, fucking Jesus. The only thing I can remember that they talked about that was true at the time was when they had that slide where they were like, oh, Stadia does this many teraflops, and Xbox One X and PS4 Pro only do this many teraflops. For now. I even said it when they revealed it. I was like, what are they going to, like, do when the next Xbox and the next PlayStation come out and they're more powerful than Stadia? Like, and oh shit, they're more powerful than Stadia. Like, who could have seen this coming? Just Amy. And we're going to be talking about Amy's powers of seeing the future very shortly. But for now, let's quickly talk about Dreams, because I love talking about Dreams. Dreams dev testing the waters of letting players monetize their work. This is from Alex Warrow over at Gamersutra, who writes, Media Molecule has opened up a special beta program for its game-making PS4 game Dreams, which will allow select players to put their Dreams creations to commercial use beyond PlayStation's ecosystem. This is an important step for the British studio to take because Dreams promises players access to a broad, powerful game creation toolset, yet as of now offers no clear way to share their creations outside of Dreams. It's also an opportunity to watch and learn how a major studio handles the consequences of running a game predicated on user-generated content. Dreams challenges players to create everything from music to art to full games, and in today's blog post detailing the new program, studio director Siobhan Reddy admits that the studio is still figuring out how to let players use their Dreams creations outside of PlayStation platforms. Quote, "We've had lots of questions from creators about using Dreams for viable business opportunities off PlayStation, such as concept artwork. We welcome and encourage creators to do this, but it's new territory for us. We've been busy behind the scenes mapping out how we can make it easier for creators to do this in the future. We're kicking this off with a beta evaluation where creators can submit an application to use Dreams for a specific project." End quote. To qualify for this program, creators must be over 18 and have been using Dreams to create work during the lengthy early access beta period, which preceded its launch last month. Media Molecule says creators will retain the rights to any IP they create, but the studio expects participants to provide regular feedback and, where possible, appropriately credit Dreams in the final product. For more details, the beta application. This is cool. I think we knew something like this was probably going to be coming at some point. Like, in terms of, like, being able to use the things that you create in Dreams, like, potentially commercially. Like, I think a lot of people have jumped to the conclusion that this means that they're going to try and, like, see if people can sell games that they make in Dreams, but I think this is probably more geared towards art and music and, like, portfolios and stuff like that. So, like, maybe you make some art in Dreams and then you sell it on a t-shirt. Stuff like that. Or,
Something like that.
Make an album and, like, release it. Like, or make, like, music that people can use in YouTube videos. That's a thing. And, like, they've made it in Dreams and they can just, like, export it and sell it because it's their music. I think that's more what this leans towards than necessarily, like, the creator of Pig Detective being able to sell their game, like, on Steam, like, or something like that, or, like, some sort of Dreams, like, marketplace or whatever. You know what I mean? It's cool, though.
Yeah, it sounds great. It's a great little thing to help other people out and everything, which is what we all want to see and everything. So, people have worked their asses off with the things they've been creating, and excuse me, it's only fair that you might get an opportunity to hopefully use as a portfolio, maybe earn a little bit of a profit of it or something like that. That's a fantastic thing. Yeah, well done.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm just reading off the PlayStation blog post, and it is just like. It's aimed at movies, music, and art. That's something I didn't consider, like being able to like make a movie and get some like commercial usage out of the movie. It's cool that like Dreams is like taking on this life of its own. I also saw the trailer for Dreams. There's an advert on YouTube when I was watching YouTube pop up, and it was exactly how I said they should market the game. Which was wait a few weeks. And then, like, you just show a bunch of different things that were made in Dreams. And then you're like, this was all made in Dreams. And it was literally just, like, all this stuff. And I was like, oh my god, that's exactly how I thought they should market this game. That's incredible.
Are they listening on the podcast?
Maybe.
Hi, Media Molecule.
Hi, Media Molecule. I love your game. It's my favourite game I've played so far this year.
I haven't played it because I don't have a PlayStation 4, but if you want to send me one, I will play it.
We'll stream it together when you put the multiplayer options in. Maybe I can just see the future, maybe. Maybe I can just see the future. Which leads me...
I'll believe this next story when I see it.
Which leads me into the next news story. And this is a rumour, granted, but still.
Heavy rumour.
Sony... working on 2 Silent Hill games. This is from Johnny Cullen over at Player Diaries, who writes, Sony, almost unbelievably, is working with Konami on 2 brand new Silent Hill games, including attempts to patch up the relationship between IP holder Konami and Kojima Productions for Silent Hills. Horror website Rely on Horror is reporting the first project is a Silent Hill soft reboot involving Japan Studio, recently taken over by Astrobot director Nicolas Doucet. Specifically, some of the Team Siren team that was part of the original Team Silent on the first Silent Hill. This is backed up by Horror Games Insider Aesthetic Gamer and Reset Era's Dusk Golem in a very lengthy Twitter thread. Some of the key figures in this game's development supposedly include series creator, Silent Hill 1 director, and Team Siren director Kishiro Toyama, Silent Hill 2 and 3 art director Masahiro Ito, and famed series composer and sound director Akira Yamaoka. For what it's worth, Ito tweeted at the start of the year he started work on a new project as a core team member, but didn't disclose what it was or what genre it was in. Rely on Horror reports that only Japan Studios' project is in active development as things stand and has been for over a year at this point. Gollum reports the game will be called Silent Hill to highlight the fact it is a soft reboot of the series. Which brings us to the next project, and one that, while less feasible on paper, would be the ultimate megaton to end all megatons within the game industry. Rely on Horror and Duskalm also report Sony is working as a mediator in order to patch up the relationship between Hideo Kojima and Konami and bring back Silent Hills, in light of, according to Rely on Horror, the amount of buzz and continued demand for it 5 years after its cancellation, no doubt helped too by the release of PT. Duskalm reports that as things currently are, Silent Hills isn't back in active development, but just talks between Kojima Productions and Konami. But Rely on Horror says the project is akin to titles from Telltale and Supermassive Games. Of note, Gollum reports Supermassive was one of the developers approached about a new Silent Hill title by Konami at one stage, but it didn't quite pan out. That would have been good. With Kojima given full creative freedom. Another tidbit is the title would use the second generation PlayStation VR headset for PS5, although that last bit isn't elaborated as much. This isn't the first time chatter has emerged of the possibility of Konami and Kojima making up. Back in January, Eurogamer and freelance news writer Vicky Blake reported, anecdotally, the ice has thawed between the two entities following the famous falling out towards the tail end of Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain. I don't need to read that last part. So either someone listens to this podcast and decided to make a fucking rumour go, because that's exactly what I said a couple of weeks back. Was it last week? We were talking about Kojima. It was a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it? After the whole tweet with the pencil and the thing. And I literally went back and watched our discussion of it, and it was like, and you were like, this would never happen. And I was like, but it could happen. Like, if there was a mediator. And then you said Sony. And then I went, exactly. Sony could mediate between Kojima and Konami to get this going. And that's exactly what the rumor is now. Normally, I don't report on rumors like this. But I like the sources are fairly solid. And it is just rumors. But what a story that would be. Like, if this actually came together, put aside your skepticism for a moment, and just say, like, that would be some fucking twist.
Okay. If this is actually happening, well done to Sony. Well done. I'll take my hat off here. That would
You're not
be
wearing
an
a hat.
amazing thing.
There we go. That's better. Thank you.
There we go. That would be an amazing thing if they actually are able to pull that off and everything. I know the little thing of what the article says, that love for the PT game is still saying to this day.
One of the greatest horror games of all time.
Which is like an hour long.
It's an hour long.
It's insane to think that it really is that how popular it is still to this day. So if this is actually true, well done, Sony. It'll be fantastic. It'll be amazing, and I am rooting for this to happen. I'm still saying this is not happening. I will believe it when I see it. I'm rooting for it because I want to be proven wrong. But I still say it. For me, there is no. I go until I see like a proper big site writing this up, and this is just a small site, no offense to it, writing it up.
Oh, Planet Iris. Like, yeah.
This is just nothing for me right now. So I'm rooting for it to be true. For all the people who love Silent Hill, who love the PT, you, Amy, and everything like that, who love Kojima and everything like that, I am rooting for it. I do not believe this.
Well then.
And now I will happily have egg on my face if this comes true.
You will
happily.
Yeah, I mean you will, because we made a bet that this was, if you recall 2 weeks ago, we actually made a bet about this.
I can't remember what the bet was.
We were gonna get Keith to make terms for it, and we never did. And we may need to now. Because, this might be actually happening. Like, I don't think it'll be the game that Kojima was making originally. Because it sounds like it's going to be more of a spin-off than anything else. I don't think it's going to be called Silent Hills if Japan studio is working on a game called Silent Hill. I don't think Sony are going to be releasing a game called Silent Hill and a game called Silent Hills, because that's like Wii and Wii U. It's too fucking confusing.
That is true.
But like, I mean, I want it to be true, so I'm not even going to comment on whether I think it is. I like want it to be true too badly. But I think the stuff about Sony Japan, like, definitely rings a lot more likely. Like, they haven't made a game since Astrobot. What does Sony Japan make? I know they did The Last Guardian.
I think it was The Last Guardian they did, wasn't it?
Yeah, and The Last Guardian, was that their last game? Sony Interactive Entertainment Japan. Like, they make bangers. Yeah. They, like, assisted... Oh, no, it wasn't. The last game they made was Knack 2. Forgot they made those. They've like assisted on like Shadow of the Colossus with Bluepoint, Deracini, which was the PSVR game by From Software. Everybody's Golf. So they do a lot of assist work, but they haven't like developed a main game since 2017. So, and if they only started last year, and that everything in that report of like the people involved when it was started, like that all links up with everything that we heard a couple of weeks ago. Or everything we thought we figured out based on like things people had tweeted and pictures of pencils and whatnot. But we'll see.
Like I said, I'm rooting for it. I don't believe it, but I'm rooting for it.
I do. I believe it. I believe the games industry is exactly that crazy. I'm playing a remake of Final Fantasy VII in a month. Anything can happen in the games industry these days.
It is a crazy way.
I'll
start believing anything when Dino Crisis Remake is announced. That's all I want.
I mean,
when that's announced, I'll believe anything.
I mean, this E3 could be... Imagine if there's a Sony reveal, PS5 reveal, and like they're like, here's Dino Crisis.
That was my bet.
Launch title for the PS5. Dino Crisis Remastered. And then here at the end, it's like Silent Hill. And then me and you get on a podcast and we're both just like, oh my god! That'll be amazing.
I think we will die on the podcast.
I think we'd die. We'd die watching the reveal. Yeah, let's move on. We're just going to do the one NPD thing. I'm warning you that I'm deleting the news story that we're not going to talk about, because I know I did that without warning last time. It confused things. NPD was released for February 2020. It's going to take about 30 seconds to go through because 2 new games came out in February and neither of them made it. The top 10 best-selling games of February 2020 were number 1, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, number 2, NBA 2K20, number 3, Grand Theft Auto 5, number 4, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, number 5, Tom Clancy's The Division 2, number 6, Mario Kart 8, number 7, Ring Fit Adventure, number 8, Madden NFL 20, number 9, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, number 10, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Do you have anything to say about any of that?
GTA is back in the top 10.
Yeah, I mean, it would be. Like, literally nothing has come out. Which is one of the...
on this planet? 7 billion?
Which is in the north. Everyone owns GTA 5 at this point. I swear, fucking Christ. So. I mean, I actually, to be fair, I don't. And I never have. And I never will. Like...
You don't need to because it's on Game Pass.
I don't need to because it's on Game Pass. Then how is it still the best? Oh my god. Software sales fell 36% compared to February 2019, probably because the biggest new releases in February 2020 were Dreams and the Yakuza Remastered Collection, and the biggest releases in February 2019 included Far Cry, Metro Exodus, Anthem, Apex Legends. Like, I was talking about this to someone I think it might have been Keith on a live stream, and I was like, remember this time last year when all those games that we had, and this year, like this was obviously before Ori and Neo, like this year we've had Dreams. Like as far as like big releases go, we've had Dreams.
Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, I guarantee.
And Dragon Ball Z Kakarot
is a big release.
All right, I'll give you Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, but
Especially
that's
as it's in
still
the top 10.
that like, won't be like give it a couple. Give it by the end of April, that game will be gone out of the top 10. That's my bold prediction.
Probably, but
If not April, May. But yeah, it's just like it's cool, and I've managed to make time to play a lot of cool indie games, and I've reconnected with Apex Legends, and I've had a chance to do all this cool stuff. But at the same time, I'm just like, Jesus fucking Christ! Like normally, when I'm approaching a period of time where lots of games are coming out really quickly, I'm always like anxious and like shit. I've got to do all this stuff. When I booted up Ori and the Will of the Wisps last Wednesday, I think it was when I started playing it, I literally was like, thank fucking God, it's about time.
You had a tear in your
I was like, it's about time. I've been waiting so long.
You're like, leave me alone.
Yeah. And now we've got Animal Crossing and Doom coming out, and Half-Life's right around the corner, and Bleeding Edge is coming, and Resident Evil's there. Final Fantasy's in touching distance. It's a good job. Like this whole like self-quarantine stuff didn't happen a couple of months ago. I would have gone fucking nuts.
That is true.
I would have gone nuts. The best-selling new release of February 2020 was the Yakuza Remastered Collection, which came in at 33rd overall.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
it's a remastered collection. Yeah, like it's a remaster. I imagine, like. Yeah, the remasters of like games like that probably don't sell all that well. Like Dreams didn't make a dent in it either, and it's like Dreams is a very niche thing. Like
I'd be very curious where Dreams landed.
I'm not sure 100%. I don't know because I think they only do a top 40. I don't think it ended up in the top 40. The game only has roughly about 100,000 players, and what you've got to remember is a lot of people already owned the game because it was technically available for an entire year before it came out. But I think Dreams is... I've said it before on this podcast. I think Dreams is more of a slow burn. Like, I think it's got a long tail on it. As opposed to it necessarily like being a... I don't think it'll ever crack the top 10.
Yeah.
Or anything like that, but... no, Matt doesn't mention it on Twitter, so... I'll leave that alone. Thought I'd look it up for you though. The best-selling games, to date. I'm just gonna read number one is Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. The rest are as you'd expect. I don't need to read the rest of the top 10 right now.
You can all guess.
You can all guess. COD's on there, NBA, GTA, Madden, Star Wars. Basically, most of the games I just read in a slightly different order. Let's do games out this week. Because again, thank fucking God, it's about time. Coming out this week, on March 17th, we have La Mulana 1 and 2 Hidden Treasures Edition on PS4, Xbox One and Switch. Green and Orcs Life on PC. MLB The Show 20 on PlayStation 4. And RBI Baseball 20 on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, iOS and Android. I'm going to just quickly delete that because that got delayed. And on March 20th, we have Animal Crossing New Horizons for Nintendo Switch, Doom Eternal on PC, PS4, and Xbox One, and Doom 64 on PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. Which one are you going to play first? Doom or Animal Crossing?
Doom.
Nice.
I want to play that first, see if I click with it, and then try and get it smashed over the weekend, basically, and then the Animal Crossing's going to be like a slow burn type of game for me.
Yeah, like, I'm going to stream Doom, probably, on the Saturday. So I'll probably play that first. Animal Crossing, I'm going to play a lot. I'm going to play a big chunk of it in like a day or 2 days to make a video. Yeah. And then what I'm going to do is that's just going to be like a slow burning game. Like, I'll go back to like every now and again. That's what I feel like, as long as I click with it, obviously. But
Yeah.
like, I feel like that's going to be the game I play. Like, out of all the games like Ori and Neo and Doom and Half-Life, that's probably the game that I'll play the longest, if that makes sense. Like, over the longest period of time. Like, I'm actually thinking about buying it.
Yeah, I am as well. I'm gonna see if I enjoy it though.
Yeah. Okay.
Just to quote unquote for Liz, we rent our games.
Yes.
We're not
Sorry,
them.
we're not pirating games. We rent our games from a service called Boomerang Rentals. It's perfectly legitimate. And it's a great way to affordably play all of the new releases if you have, say, I don't know, a YouTube channel where you review new games. Like, here is a game case. Like, from Boomerang. It's the Neo 2 game that I got, because I rented Neo 2. Didn't need to rent Ori. Thanks, Game Pass. Let's play Guess the OpenCritic Score. At the end of every podcast, myself and Mr. Mooney attempt to guess the OpenCritic average of one upcoming release. Whoever gets the closest gets a point. If you manage to nail the score exactly, you get 2 points. And at the end of the year, we see who's got the most points. It's very simple. Last week, Mr. Moody and I tried to guess the OpenCritic average of Ori and The Will of the Wisps. I guessed it would get a 92. Mr. Mooney guessed it would get a 91. The game got an 89, which means, Moody, you get the point. And that puts the... I'm glad only some of that's coming through. Look, right, if I lose this entire thing because I believe in games... Because, like, you go first every week, right? And you guessed 91, and the smart money would have been to go at 90, right? That would have been the smart thing to do. But I believed, right? And if I go down, if at the end of this year, you've beaten me handily in this OpenCritic score game guessing thing, but I have gone down swinging for the fences, believing in all of these games, I will hold my head high and be proud of that. Also, thanks for the technical issues, Moon Studios, you bastards. Because that's probably what robbed you of a few points on OpenCritic.
Probably. Just a little bit, yeah.
They're not that bad. I'm just going to put that out there. They're not bad enough to actually affect your enjoyment of the game too much. It's just every now and again the game will freeze.
That's true, yeah. It does for me sometimes.
Yeah. Like, it's a loading thing. Like, you can tell. Like, it's when you go to a place, like, and you go past an invisible loading screen, and it freezes for a second. Star Wars did it when it came out as well. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I've been a games critic for the last, like, bajillion years. Like, I just recognize that problem for what it is at this point. Like, oh, it's just loading. Shit. Invisible loading screens. Remember when you had actual loading screens and this never happened?
Yeah. Just think. Loading screens are apparently gone next gen.
We'll see. I'll believe it when I see it.
We will see.
Current scores: Amy 3, co-host 4. I got points for Dreams, Warcraft 3 Reforged, and One Punch Man. Moody, you got points for Zombie Army 4 and Ori and the Will of the Wisps. You also got double points for Pokemon Mystery Dungeon because you got that bang the fuck on. This week we had a couple of games to choose from in what we were going to play our guessing game with. I've gone with Doom Eternal. I was going to do a thing where I was like, I've played 30 minutes of Doom Eternal, so we'll pick Animal Crossing because I haven't played that. And I was like, nah, I'm behind. Ethics has gone out the window now. I'm losing. I'll pick the game I've played, thanks.
I still say that because they're both, you've got two big releases. I think you should do it for both of them.
That's not how this works. Because then we could draw, and then I'm not having that.
Well, even if we both got the score right,
look,
we would draw 1-1, and
this
I would still lead by
this
4.
is my game. One game a week.
Just one pick a week, you mean?
Yeah, that's what I meant. What do you think the OpenCritic average for Doom Eternal is going to be?
Amy, because I'm such a gentleman and you complained late just now, I'll let you...
Oh, hell no! Oh, hell no! Don't upend the rules of my game. You know I've already got my score written down. So I'll let you go first.
I believe Doom Eternal. It's going to be 91.
Oof. Again. Popular number with you.
Again. I'm swinging for the fences like a certain Amy Alexander said she wants to do.
If I go down swinging, I go down swinging.
The thing is, I think you're gonna go lower than me this time, and that's gonna basically give you the guy a higher chance of winning. Obviously,
I mean, you can think whatever you want, but again, I've played 30 minutes of Doom Eternal, and as I've just said, if I go down believing in these games, then I will be fine and happy with that. Doom Eternal is a game people have been sleeping on for months. This game is incredible, and I've only played 30 minutes of it. But holy crap, those 30 minutes, Game of the Year 2019. The 30 minutes I played of that Doom Eternal demo, better than Resident Evil, better than Fire Emblem, better than Control, better than Disco Elysium, better than Apex Legends. Mooney, this game's going to get a 93.
You've just slated all of 2019, basically. And you've just proved my point that 2019 was a poor year for games.
2019 was an amazing year for games. What I'm saying is, Doom Eternal.
30 minutes of Doom will satisfy you more.
Eternal is a better game. It just
93. Is. Oh, what if it goes 92?
Well, figure it out. I'll give us both points. If we ever get a draw like that, we both get points. But
why I'm saying we should have Animal Crossing on the terror.
No, because I don't have a speech prepared for Animal Crossing. Moody, I've been like, don't get me wrong, Fire Emblem, Disco, Elysium, Control, Resident Evil, Apex. That was my top 5 last year. Those are all incredible games. People aren't prepared for how good Doom Eternal is going to be. Mark my words.
Mark Amy's words. Clip that.
I will replay this when Doom Eternal gets a 97 on OpenCritic next week.
A 97?
I will play that clip over the top of me saying it. People aren't prepared.
Well, obviously it's the score on the Sunday that when we record and everything, but Tuesday is going to be a very fascinating day when the embargo drops.
Like Doom Eternal, we were talking on Fantasy Game League about Final Fantasy VII, and I remember I think it was you who said, so do you think Game of the Year is going to be a triple threat of Final Fantasy, Cyberpunk, and Last of Us? Doom Eternal's in that conversation.
For you right now, just
I think
in 0 minutes of the other 3 you played Final Fantasy, so that's
I've played Final Fantasy. I haven't played Cyberpunk, but I did go to see like 45 minutes of gameplay by a game developer, commentated over by someone's like an art director, I think, standing in the room. So I count that. And The Last of Us Part 2 is The Last of Us Part 2, but like I think Doom Eternal is heavily involved in that conversation. Don't fuck me over with bugs, id. I don't want to be right.
Multiplayer.
I don't want to be right and also wrong at the same time.
Well, you've heard it, ladies and gentlemen. 93 against 91.
Oh, I think you'll go lower than me. Nah, that was never going to happen. Doom Eternal. That's going to do it for this episode of the Words About Gamescast 197. The rate users gone, I don't think we're going to be able to do this, but I think when we get episode 200, I might go back through, like, skip back through all the podcasts, find the big new, like the ones that were like, this was the big news story of like 2017, and just like react to it from now, like Battlefront 2's loot boxes and Kojima like leaving Konami and stuff like that, like all the things that at the time were like major things, and just be like, hey, let's talk about this in 2020. But then fucking, I don't know, something will happen. PlayStation 5 will get delayed, and then I'll be like, well, we're going to do that.
We cannot do that, no.
No.
We cannot.
But that's going to do it for episode 197. Thank you very much for joining me, Mr. Moody. As always, say bye.
Bye.